All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mr. Grady, and I'm here to walk you through the syllabus for the 2020-2021 school year for Global One. So first, a little bit of information about where this class is, my contact information. The room number is A236, down the end of the hallway past the Food and Nutrition Mist Evasion's room. I'm right across from my old room that I shared with Mrs. Bernasconi last year. My email address is bgrady@oxbridge.k12.ma.us. My Twitter handle, if you'd like to follow along to see what we're doing in class, is @B_Grady19. I like to capture a lot of the cool things that we're doing in here and post them on there for families to see. Availability. The easiest way to get in touch with me is to shoot me an email. If you need to set up an appointment to talk to me, the easiest thing to probably do would be to set up a Zoom, or we could always do a phone call. And the best time for that is probably Wednesdays between 12 and 2 in the afternoon. So a little bit about me personally. I'm entering my third year teaching history at Oxbridge High School, and it's my fourth year overall in education. I worked previously at Nipmuc Regional High School, and that's where I graduated high school. I went on to Westfield State University, and I got my bachelor's degree in geography and regional planning. And I am now pursuing my master's in education from Worcester State. When I'm not teaching, by far the most important thing to me is my family, spending time with them. I'm also an enormous Boston sports fan, mostly the Bruins. They're certainly my favorite New England sports team. I also love to play sports, mostly old man softball at this point. But I'm also a big fan of movies and television. So our core values in this class. Students of mine, you will hear me harp on these values a lot, okay? I'll say it many, many times. This is not just a history class. We are working to exemplify the core values that this school represents while we are in this class, okay? So we are Spartans, okay? As a member of the Uxbridge High School community, we share responsibility for excellence and integrity, persevere through challenges and adversity, accept new ideas and thoughts, respect self and others. That's a very important one to me. Teach effective communication, compassion, and balance, accountability for a high standard of academics and behaviors. That is another very important one to me. And nurturing personal independence and responsibility. Our school-wide learning expectations. So in the school-wide rubric, the Social Studies Department uses the Learning Expectation 1 and 4-5. Feedback will be provided on specific assignments and overall individual student progress at the end of each quarter using these learning expectations. Okay, so we use 1 and 4 and 5. So 1 is the use of technology as a resource to access, evaluate, and effectively apply information as well as enhance communication. So your ability to use your technology, use your device, in a proper way to access information, to evaluate it, and then to apply it to your learning. Value 4 is to demonstrate personal responsibility, character, cultural understanding, and ethical behavior, okay? How you conduct yourself within this room, okay? That one is very important to me. And learning objective number 5 is becoming an active owner of your learning, demonstrating adaptability and independence, being able to take the information that we do in here and apply it. Okay, this learning expectation will be critical during the hybrid learning phase as we are in for part of the time and we are out for part of the time. So it's very important, the independence and adaptability piece of this, that you are able to do that when you are not within the classroom. When we are not face-to-face, are you able to adapt and to get the work done, sign into your Zoom meetings, etc. Okay, so course content, a little bit about the course. The objective of this course is to acquire an understanding of global history. The objective can be met by learning the many different views of political, social, military, religious, scientific, and cultural events that have brought our world to what it is now. This class covers material beginning with the colonization of North America, goes into the American and French revolutions. We discuss the Industrial Revolution, both in Europe and in the United States, and the causes leading to the Civil War and also the Civil War. Okay, so we're going to cover a lot of history in this class, and we're going to cover it in many different ways. We're going to look at the story of America and how it unfolds. Okay, very interesting stuff this year, I promise. So again, the course outline here, these are the topics, the units that we are going to be covering this year in class. The first unit that we start with is colonization. We move into the American Revolution. Then we talk about the Constitution. Then we hop across the pond and we talk about the French Revolution. Then we're going to talk about the New Republic, which is after we have won the American Revolution and we begin to establish our own republic. Okay, George Washington, first president, that's what we're talking about here. Industrial Revolution in Europe and the United States as countries begin to industrialize. We're going to look at that. Social, political, and economic changes, a lot of that is brought on by industrialization. And we start to look at the division between the North and the South in the United States. The age of Andrew Jackson. Causes of the Civil War, and then ultimately the Civil War. Now, this will unfold as one story for the students that starts in September and is going to end in June. So we're going to make it very dynamic, engaging, and exciting. Materials and resources that you will need for this class. We will use Google Classroom every single day. Every assignment that I post is on Google Classroom. Now that works out well because now, since we are in a hybrid mode, some of you will be accessing this from home. You will know that it is in the same place every day. You will know exactly where to go on Classroom. And when we are in here, I'll be able to, in the first few days, go over our Classroom and be able to show you what that looks like, okay? It's very structured. It's very neat. Everything is in order. So you guys should be able to jump right into that and catch on to that. A charged iPad or Chromebook. Now more than ever is the time to have your iPad charged every day that you come in here, okay? Because we're not going to be able to be getting up and moving around the room and borrowing chargers. All of that is out the window. So you will have to come every day in the morning with your iPad charged and ready to go. Everything that we do will be digital. Okay, so you will need that iPad to access the work. Headphones, not a necessity, but if we're doing something like an ed puzzle where you're going to be watching a video and answering some questions on that, you might want to pop your headphones in. So we're not listening to 15 different videos all at different points in the video. You will have to use your headphones for an assignment like that. iPads will be used for note-taking, accessing documents, textbooks, educational apps. iPad is only to be used as directed. It's not to be used to take pictures, not to be used to listening to music or to be gaming, FaceTiming, any of that stuff, okay? Any of those activities could result in your iPad being taken. And if you don't have your iPad, unfortunately, you will be at a severe disadvantage, okay? Documents and resources for the course will be shared by various means, usually by Google Drive. I'll upload them to Classroom, or we could be using the DBQ project. We could be using iMovie to make a video, Flipgrid, Canva. There's a bunch of them, and I'm going to go over them all at the beginning of the year. And as we go to use them, all things that you can use on your iPad to help take the work that you're making and make it look excellent, okay? So it's your responsibility to make sure you know how to access these sites and apps. These are things that I will go over either the first few days or right before we go to use them during the year. So it's very important that you're paying attention, especially if you're remote and you're zooming in and we're walking through it. You're going to need to know how to use these apps, okay? You're expected to keep track of your assignments that are given out in class, okay? Meaning if I post something to Classroom, you know that it's on there. It is easily accessible and you know when it is due. That means you're paying attention to the instruction that I'm giving and also to the due dates that are posted on the assignment, okay? Grading, okay, your average will be calculated on a point system, meaning that some assignments are worth more than others. For example, homework is typically worth between 10 and 20 points. A quiz is typically worth between 50 and 100. Tests are worth 100 to 200 at times. And projects are also in that 100 to potentially 200 point range, okay? They all get added in over the course of the semester, and that is how your grade is determined. So obviously things like projects, things like tests are worth far more than things like homework. But things like homework and classwork do add up. Now in here again, it says homework, but that's typically classwork, okay? Typically the only thing for me that is homework is stuff that you didn't get done in class, okay? So if I talk for 30 minutes about colonization and then you have to respond to a question, I may tell you that it's due by the time class is over, or I may tell you you have a little bit of time to finish it up. That's typically the only time we have homework, okay? No single assignment, quiz, project, test will be worth more than 15% of the entire quarter grade. That means that a bad test grade will not weigh down your entire grade. That's where things like homework and participation and coming in and working hard, paying attention, participating, that's where that comes in important. Because if you have that test grade, that project that doesn't quite go as well as you had hoped, those smaller point values, these ones up here, will help bump your grade, okay? We are not here to fail. I guarantee you when I say that, I ask that you come in and you give me your best effort, you participate, you try, you behave in a responsible manner, and you should have absolutely no issues with this course. Okay, we are all here to become better. We are all here to learn history and learn how to be more responsible, more accountable students. All chapter and unit work must be completed 5 days after the grade from the assessment is posted in the iPass. That means that you have only a certain amount of time to make up an assignment. If a week has gone by and you're looking to retake that, we would have to take a look at what we could do with that, okay? Late homework will only be accepted the next school day for half credit. I'm pretty lenient on that, meaning next school day. If things are turned in a little bit late, you can always get half credit from me. If you miss a homework grade, if you got confused, you weren't sure that something was due, and you miss a homework, I will still take it within that unit of study for half credit, okay? I'm pretty lenient with that. At no point, the only time where you get an absolute zero and it stays in as a zero is if you do not do the assignment and you do not make it up either, okay? No late assignments are accepted the last week of the quarter. That's because we'll be putting grades in, and it's a lot of work to get that stuff in and get grades ready to go in a timely manner and the timing that guidance needs them. So that means that I will not take late work the day that your grade is due. Okay, it's too much to turn those grades around, to look at something, to grade it, and then to change your grade in iPass. That's why you have to have it into me a week before the quarter ends, okay? And there's no extra credit assignments, okay? So you can't do, like, you can retake. Well, I'll go over the redos and retakes in a second, but you cannot do a completely separate extra credit assignment to help boost your grade, okay? That's why it's important that you show up and you work hard. Redos and retakes. If you get below an 80 on a quiz, test, or anything else, you can redo it if the following criteria is met. You came in and made a genuine effort leading up to the assignment, okay? If you come in and you are working really hard each day and it's just really difficult content for you and you don't quite get it and you take an essay test and you get it back and you get a 50, you can 100% retake it. If conversely, you come in and you don't pay attention to what we're doing in class, you don't do your work, you don't turn any of the assignments in as we go, and then you don't do well on a test and you come up to me and you say, Mr. Grady, I want to retake it. I can't honor a retake if you don't put the effort in the first place. Another reason why it's important to come in, do the work, be responsible and accountable for what you do, and work hard. Retakes for an assignment are capped at an 80. So if you retake a quiz or a test, the highest that you can get on it is an 80. The reason we do that is to maintain the incentive to prepare to do well the first time you take it, okay? Retakes are not to be taken during regular class time. You would have to set up time. We're still looking at that with the hybrid model of when that would happen, but we will get that information once we figure out what we're able to do with that. Class expectations. So I have very high expectations in my classroom. Students are responsible for their learning. Therefore, you are expected to report to class on time with everything you need, whether you are remote or face-to-face. All students need to be seen and heard on camera in the virtual classroom. For documentation of attendance, we'll go over that. That means when you sign into a Zoom meeting, that your video is on and I can see that you're present. Okay, I'm pretty lenient with the video on thing, but it's in terms of the very beginning when we're signing in and I'm taking attendance, if you are remote that day, I do need to see that you are there and it's not just a black screen. Okay, after I've taken attendance and I tell you what we're doing and you want to switch your camera off, okay, I'm pretty lenient with that. Okay, you should be actively engaged and participating in all learning sessions, whether you are face-to-face or remote. You should be proactive in reaching out to me if you need assistance. If we're doing something in class or remote and you don't fully understand it, email me, okay? I think a good tactic for this class to be successful would be for you to take notes as we're doing stuff. If you are remote, you're jotting things down. And if I'm talking about something and it doesn't make sense to you, or you're watching a video like what we're doing right now, because some of your lessons will be pre-recorded by me, you are jotting things down. Write down things that you have questions about. And you can either email me or ask me the next time you see me. So also extremely important, conduct, as you can tell already through this video, conduct, behavior, respectfulness are very, very important to me. You'll conduct yourselves in a respectful manner during all class sessions, whether you are face-to-face or remote. Okay, with your team, with your teachers, with your classmates or teammates, as I call them, because you'll see, I consider us a team when we are in here, more so than a class, as well as any other school staff member. You treat everyone in this building with respect, just as you would when you are out. If you were going to the grocery store, if you were going to the bank, you treat people with respect. Students should wear appropriate attire, as you would on a typical school day per the student handbook policy. And students will use technology in an appropriate manner and in accordance with the district's acceptable use policy. Now, for remote learners, this is where we start to get into a little bit more of our day-to-day. Class expectations. If you are remote, so say you are in cohort B and it is a cohort A Monday, Tuesday. If you are fully remote, or if you are in cohort B, so you are not face-to-face that day, you must sign in at the beginning of class. On Google Classroom, and I will go over this with you once we start, you will see that there is a link to a Zoom meeting. Okay, that is our virtual classroom. Okay, it is posted to Classroom at all times, so you can access it at any point. It is under classwork, and it says remote learning link. You click on that, that brings you to the Zoom, and that is our virtual class for that block. So if you are in A block, every time A block rolls around, you go to our Google Classroom, you find under classwork, you find in the materials the link to our site, our virtual meeting room. You click that and it brings you to our classroom. Okay. That is what you will do each time we meet if you are remote. If you are not in the building that day, you do meet every time our class meets at the start. Now, that all depends on how long I keep you in there. I could keep you for 5 minutes, take attendance and say, listen, this is the reading you're doing today. If you would like, you can sign off and email me if you have any questions, or sign back in. I will have the Zoom link still open if you need to come back. But there are going to be some days where I could keep you for the entire class in the Zoom meeting. If we're doing something with a shared screen where I'm going to be going through some notes, it could vary, but I will let you know within the first 5 to 10 minutes of that Zoom meeting when our class meets, whether you'll be sticking around or whether it's something that you can do on your own time, do by the start of next class or do by the end of class. Okay. Our face-to-face class expectations. You must wear a mask at all times. I think we are all abundantly clear of that at this point. When you come in, you will all have assigned seats. I will go over that the first time that you guys come in. I have taped to your desks where you are sitting. Everything is spaced out so that you are all 6 feet minimum apart. You will sit in alternating desks. I did it in alphabetical order. If somebody got added to the class a little later, I had to kind of put you somewhere else. But I just used the class checklist, alphabetical order, and that's how I decided where your seat was. Okay. Also, if you have accommodations, I was able to put that in there so that you were, if you need to be in the front of the room or the back of the room, I was able to put you where you need to be. Okay, so those are your seats. When you come in, you will grab your cleaning supplies to wipe down your desk, okay? And you will report to your desk, okay? And unfortunately, you cannot leave your seat unless given permission or if you have an accommodation. Okay, so if you need to go to the bathroom, you would ask me, fill out any hall pass, and only a certain amount of students can go to the bathroom during a certain block. But there will not be any mingling about the room during the day. Okay, so when you come into class, there is not going to be any time for us to get up and walk over to the other side of the room and talk to our friends. You have to come in, report to your seat, and that's where you will stay for the remainder of the class. Okay. You make sure that your iPad is charged, out, and ready to go, okay? Because with all the extra things that we need to do, that class time after that chunk in the middle there, where we are going to be discussing content, is crucial, okay? So our virtual meeting guidelines, okay? When you are signing into class, you must use your real name, okay? So if I'm in A block and I'm signing in for our virtual meeting, I must put as my name Brian Grady, okay? You cannot go in and make up a fake name. You will not be allowed in, and you will be marked absent if that is the case, okay? Do your best to join from a family space, nowhere inappropriate. Mute the microphone. I have it set so that you are muted when you come in, so that's pretty much taken care of. Always exit video conference when instructed. So if I end the meeting, I will end it for all and you will be removed. Be on time, be an active participant, wear school appropriate clothing, and obviously use school appropriate language. The virtual classroom, my standards, my expectations of you are the exact same as if you were in front of me in the classroom. Okay, so there's no swearing, there's no profanity, there's no inappropriate images to be put up as your profile picture for the Zoom meeting. Any of that will be reported to administration. Okay, so let's see, anything else? Pay attention, make sure that you are focusing on the person who is speaking. Avoid side conversations. Mute yourself after you are speaking. And last, and very importantly, you are not allowed to take pictures, record, and or distribute any of the personal information during a virtual learning class. Okay, so that means you are not recording what we're doing in class and sending it to somebody in another class. Okay? So here's a rundown of the schedule. Cohort A will meet during Monday and Tuesdays. Wednesday is a fully remote day, and Thursday, Friday is for Cohort B to come in, okay? This is what the schedule looks like, days 1 through 7. Each class meets. The first 4 classes of the day meet face-to-face. Then you guys head home at lunchtime, and then you will all sign back online for the last 3 classes of the day. So if it's a day 1 and you have me for E-Block, you would sign in to my classroom link, which is provided on Google Classroom, and we would start our class at that time, okay? This is what you can expect. Okay, this kind of wraps up everything we talked about. All students during the day-to-day in my classroom. So in the first 10 plus minutes of class, remote students are joining the class via the Zoom link. Okay, you guys are coming in, you're wiping down your desks. And the reason I want you guys to wipe down at the beginning is because it's your space. I want you to make sure that it is clean to your standards. I don't want you to have to sit down and say to yourself, oh man, I really hope that the person who was sitting here before me did a good job cleaning this desk. I want you to clean it yourself. You will do a thorough job. And that way you can be comfortable with the fact that your learning area is disinfected. Okay. So in the first 10 minutes, we're getting everybody in, we're going through our norms, we're cleaning our desks. Students are coming in via the Zoom, and I'll be relaying important information about what we're going to be doing today. So in that first 10 minutes, I might pull up a slideshow on the board behind me, and I might say, today we're going to be talking about Spanish colonization. I will provide a link on Classroom because, again, all the assignments will be linked in our Google Classroom. At that point, I may be able to let the virtual learners go and say, listen, you guys, by the start of class tomorrow, you will be able to answer, and I'll give you a prompt. Maybe you have to write a quick Google Doc about it after you read it. That will change day to day, but I will let you know in those first 10 minutes. The middle 20 to 25 minutes, all students are accessing Classroom for the daily lesson. The lesson will focus on specific unit, and it will vary from notes to a reading to activities, projects, whatever it might be. Remote students may work in person with in-person students via slides, docs. You guys can share documents. You know that. So if we are doing group work, you will be able to share your work. Okay, you will be able to add somebody to your Google Doc and to work collaboratively on that. That's how we're going to make sure that we maintain the collaborative status of this class, is by working together when it is allowed. If you are doing an assignment that is supposed to be done by yourself, I do not want you sharing the Google Doc and sharing the work. Okay, but I will make that clear when we are doing each. And at the end, the assigned work that is due, if it's due at the end of class, you'll have to turn that in by the end of class. If it is due by the start of next class, you will have until the end of class to work on that. And at that point, in the last minute or two, you're going to start to clean yourself up, gather your stuff, put it in your bag, get ready to go to your next class. Okay. In the case of an emergency, I will go over this in person when you are here. Next week, we're going to be going over slides that are similar to this as I get you used to the class, what our classroom looks like, and all that. But we will proceed. As I told you, this was my room last year, A234. This right here is Miss Devasion's room. And this is Miss Lozo's room right here. So I am down at the end, and this is the girls' room and the boys' room. So you have an idea of where we are. We are in A236. It was Miss Castle's room last year. Some of you may have had class in here. We will go out the door. And if it is an emergency, we will go down this stairwell. This is not a down stairwell. This is only an up stairwell with the social distancing. But if there is an emergency or a fire evacuation, we disregard that. We will go down these stairs, out the side door, and make our way toward the turf field, socially distanced when we meet over there. I will take attendance, make sure that everyone is there. And then when everything is done, we will proceed back into the room. Okay. On the next page, I have a permission slip that says that you have gone over this slideshow. You either watched me do this or you have read through it yourself. Parents will sign off on that. And the reason there's a movie permission slip as part of this is because at times we will show certain movies throughout the course of the class that may depict violence. Okay. Movies that are rated PG-13 or R, like 12 Years a Slave. If that is something that we watch, it can be a violent movie. So I want you guys to be able to understand that that is something that may be a part of this curriculum. So by signing the syllabus, you are allowing your son, your daughter to view these films, and you are verifying that you have read this course outline or you have watched me here. This is saved as a PDF. I will upload this to Google Classroom so that you can sign it and return it. This is your first assignment. It will be due back to me by Friday, September 25th. Okay. And it will be a 5-point assignment. Kind of like just an in-class work kind of thing. And it's a great way to get yourself off to a good start in the class. Get 100 on your first assignment. Get this into me by Friday, September 25th. It's very important that you start fast. Get yourself going in the right direction. And what better way than just signing the syllabus and giving it back? Okay. It was so nice to connect with all of you. I hope this answered any questions or concerns that you had. If you have any going forward, please just send me an email. I am available by email at almost all times. I may not respond immediately if it's after school hours. I would be home with my family. But I do check it from time to time. So if you have any concerns, any questions, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to speak with you to help clear things up. Okay. I look forward to a fun year. It's going to be a little bit different, but we are going to have fun. It's going to be engaging, dynamic, and we are going to learn a lot. I can tell you that. Okay. It was very nice chatting with you. And at this time, I'm going to end the video. If you have any questions, please just reach out. Thank you.